welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hi, Bethany.
Hi, Sarah.
I feel like it's been years since we've gotten together.
I mean, it practically has.
It really has. Well, we're so glad to be back, and we're so glad to be back with our friends that listen to us. How's everyone doing?
Good. I hear them all.
Perfect. Well, we're so glad that you joined us for our November episode. And, we'll start off this episode with kind of what our lives have looked like the past, 2 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Have you you've been anywhere cool, done anything cool lately?
Well, I did take that trip to Seattle that I mentioned.
You did. Yeah, I know we talked a little bit about it in the September episode, but now that you actually...
Yeah.
Okay. Was that before or after you came back?
Well, we mentioned that we were going.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And then since we didn't get to record our actual October, I didn't get to share how it went. I will say it was the most amazing trip. We've had a few people who were like, why Seattle? And it was just one of those, we had never been out to the West together. And so we thought, where would we want to go? And that just was the place that we both agreed on. And we had a whole list of definitely want to see these things. And, here's a list of stuff where if we happen to come across it, we would love to do that. And so the one day, we were walking, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, there it is. I think that's the weird building. It was the Seattle Central Library.
Oh.
And it was, I know I sent you guys a ton of pictures.
So cool.
It was the most amazing library I've ever seen in my life. It had escalators. There were 10 floors. So we took the escalators all the way up to the top, and then you walk this whole book circle thing that goes slowly all the way down. And it was incredible. So I would just say anybody who travels, libraries are free. They are public spaces, and they're all so unique to wherever they are. Right. Yeah. And I just think maybe it's not something, I'm going to get in my car and drive there. But listen, if I happen to walk across one and see one, I'm probably going to go in and peek around.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it was worth it. Everybody who worked there was so nice. They had a little program going on, and we took advantage of the program. And so we were talking to some of the employees, but they have more employees in that building than we have in the entire city. So
it's funny.
Again, we are just a small location, small but mighty.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was just thinking that imagine you're working there in the front desk and you're like, oh, let me go grab this book for you, because we do that at our library. And oh, so sorry, I have to go up 8 floors to go grab this book for you.
Thankfully they have an elevator.
Give me 10 minutes.
Call each other.
Yeah. But give me 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah. It was really something. And then I know I sent you guys the pictures, but I think one of my other favorite things that was on my wish list, I love roadside attractions, and I love the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. And we did take a really nice walk the one day to see the Fremont Troll, and we took pictures with it. And some of you are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Google it. You'll see he is this giant troll. I have a picture. His head is bigger than my 6'3" husband. And I was sitting on his knuckles, and it's just the coolest thing. So it was really, really fun. Yeah. And we walked everywhere. It is a very walkable city.
Yeah. Well, and watch the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Yeah.
So I feel like you also mentioned a trip. How did it go?
I sure did. It was so good. It was a quick trip. We went to Disneyland and went to a couple spots in California. But I did not drive in California. Thankfully, my friend's husband that went with us drove. And I'm glad he did, because I know people say that Florida's a crazy driving state, but I was so nervous in California. The 405, we were on the 405, I think that's what it's called. And I was like, and I was in the back seat, and I was like, just look at your phone, look at your Kindle, something, because I was just like, I can't watch. Everyone was just in and out. And I was like, no, not for me. It was really cool. Got to experience In-N-Out burgers. Never went. It was fun. It was very, old diner vibes, and here for it. We did that. We went to the beach, and then we went to Disneyland, which was a blast. And I will say that a lot of people told us before we went, oh, you're going to be so disappointed. We were not disappointed at all. It was such a great time. If you're ever looking for things that are not in Disney World that you want to experience, I'd 100% go. I would totally go back. it was it was a blast. We literally, the park opened. We were there from the time the park opened to the time the park closed. So it was just enjoyable.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think traveling's different for everybody. Like we all have different expectations, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I would ever tell somebody like, oh, you're not going to like it, because they might be looking for something different.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, like do your research, figure out where you want to go. If you want to go hiking, there's a million places to go hiking. If you're interested in theme parks, you can find something at literally any theme park in any state. Like just go have fun. That's all it is.
Yeah. Now I do have a question, because we were both on that side of the country. Did you notice did the time change affect you?
It did not, but we were so busy, and we only took transportation. We took the monorail thing from the airport to the exit closest to our hotel. And then it was like a 3-block walk to the hotel. We dropped off our bags and we just started going. And I think because we were walking so much every single day, we were sleeping wonderfully.
Yeah.
Like slept so good. Woke up every day rested, had our, a lazy morning, and figured out what are we going to do for that day. And then we would just leave when we were ready to leave. And like, we wouldn't come back until it was time to sit on the roof and watch the sunset. So it really didn't bother me at all. And I think it was because we just stayed so busy the entire time that by the time I went to go to bed, I was exhausted.
Yeah. Same with us. And we were there. I know we were only there for like 4 days, and I know you were there for longer, but like, for the most part, our sleep schedules were fine. Like we did wake up a little bit earlier, but that was really about it. But when we did, we were still well rested. Yeah. Like none of us were like, oh my goodness, like I don't feel good, I need to go back to sleep or anything like that. So I was just curious, because that was my main concern about going over there.
Well, and we also, like, we came home a couple days before we each had to report back for work. So we kind of had like the rest of the weekend to ourselves to, do laundry and catch up with our kids and do that kind of normal stuff before we had to get back into the, like, I have to be up at 5 a.m. And so it just never really bothered me.
Yeah. I cannot relate. I got home and crawled into bed at 2:30 in the morning, and then got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready to go to work.
I don't want to call her out, but the look on her face when I walked into the library that morning was not my normal Sarah.
No, that's because she was dead. She was walking, but she was dead. And she showed up for work, and you know what? She did her work. But I also came home to a hurricane. So that was right before Milton hit. And that's something that we had in common with our trips.
It is.
So Bethany also, Helene was in the middle of your trip, right?
I came home. Our flight came in underneath Helene. Okay. And so the pilot did the best he could to kind of detour a little bit underneath her to, like, I will say, everybody was a little nervous. There was a couple moments of turbulence, but it was still one of the smoothest flights I had ever been on. And so when we got off the plane, he was standing there, and I told him that, and he was like, really? He's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. He's like, I really tried to get you guys in a good spot. Yeah. And I was like, no, you did awesome. Like, could have been so much worse.
Yeah. Well, so that is one thing that Bethany and I are not allowed to go on vacations anymore, because when we do, we get visits.
At least not to the West Coast. I don't understand.
Yeah. And I will also say that on the plane rides home, because of course, California, we had layovers and stuff like that. And as soon as, you talk to people around in your plane, or like just in the terminals of the airports, and people are like, where are you going? And you say Florida, and they go, oh, are you okay? Like, did you guys get hit by Helene? Like, what about Milton? We're like, guys, we don't know.
We were hearing a couple of those where they would be like, is your house okay? And the person's like, I don't know, because I'm not back yet. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you can't ask these questions yet.
No.
So that being said, if any of you listen to our October thing, I know you heard us say that we hope everyone's okay. But again, we do stress, we hope everybody is okay. There is some information out there if you need some assistance, some phone numbers, like call your local library, see what maybe they can offer you so that you can get a hold of some of those options that are out there. But I will say our county really did a pretty great job trying to keep everybody safe and taken care of. And
for sure.
They were on it.
And it didn't derail us. We still had our Harvest Festival in October. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
Bethany and I worked the entire time, and it was just so much fun getting to see everybody and seeing all of our little patrons dressed up.
Yeah,
looking
and
so
we had
cute.
our Book-a-ween, so all our little
Yes.
friends came into the library dressed up to get their free books and candy, and they looked amazing.
And we also had our book sale in October, and I know you were there for that. I was not. That was right when I was on vacation. I did help set up for it.
Huge thank you, though. It went so smoothly. We had friends volunteer, so Friends of the Mulberry Library, big shout out.
Yeah.
You can follow them on Facebook for more information if you're interested in like volunteering. But they oversaw the wholesale for us. Like they were up there every day, you know, helping people out. So big thank you to those volunteers. We also want to thank everybody who donated items to the sale. There were some amazing things that you guys dropped off that everybody was excited when they found them. And also those who came and shopped. I mean, you guys were filling those boxes and I was impressed.
Job well done.
Yes. And I do want to just make sure I stress this. The Friends of the Mulberry Library, they help with a lot of stuff. And it's not just, you know, some of the new shelving that you might see. There's also things maybe behind the scenes that you don't always know about. And that is the summer events, right? Like they fully fund our children's programming, like our large events that we do every summer. But also the scholarships. We actually have a scholarship for our teen volunteers. We have a lot of seniors this year that we're so excited for. And it's really cool. A few years ago, they all voted and they agreed that they wanted to do this. And so just so you know, every time you come to those sales, every time that you buy a book from our vestibule, that even if you're like, it's only 50 cents, no, it's going to something so huge, so important, and something that we're so grateful for. So
you are pouring back into your community.
Absolutely.
Which is really cool. So and this year it's going to be a tough race for that scholarship.
It is.
So, all right. Well, and I just wanted to point out that in December, we have a couple of things coming up too. We have our cookie stroll, which happens the first Friday of the month. And that will happen over in the downtown location of the city. By the Gym Theater. So if you're able to come out to that, look for that on the city's Facebook page. And then our Christmas parade in Village is coming up, and that will be December 14th this year. So that's also going to be a really great time. And that theme is Home for the Holidays. So really pumped about that. And we hope to see everybody out there for that. And I think with that, let's get to this month's episode.
I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So I feel like there's kind of a theme that we've been talking about so far in the first 12 minutes of this episode. And Bethany, do you know what that theme is about?
I think it might have to do with airplanes.
It sure does. So this month we're talking about what books have given us the travel bug. What books have we read that we're like, I want to go there. I want to go experience this town, this city, this state, this country. And I think it's going to be a blast. We both have some books.
It's funny, when I was looking at books, I realized there are a lot of books I read that took place in Seattle. And I also have other ones on my list that will take place in Seattle. And I'm like, oh, how funny. It's a great backdrop for a book.
Yeah.
But now that I've actually been there, I think I'm going to love it even more, because now I'll be like, oh my gosh, I literally stood in that place. Oh, I know that street. Oh my gosh. So I'm actually really excited about that. I did not put any Seattle books on my list, guys. It's okay.
But you do know that that's there, but she loved it. So, all right. Well, do you want to kick us off?
Sure.
Cool.
The first book I have marked down is called The Day the World Came to Town. It's by DeFede. And it took place in Gander, Newfoundland.
Oh.
I think you've heard me talk about this one before. Yeah. I know I've talked to a couple people at the library about it, but the book itself, it's 9/11 and 38 planes are bound for the U.S. However, because the airspaces are closed, they are redirected and they're sent to Gander. So the way the book starts off, though, is these passengers, like once they land in Gander, they are stranded on these airplanes for about 24 hours because, security and not like with everything going on, obviously they have to proceed with caution. But once they finally allow these people off the plane, because they can't let them back in the air and into the US yet, Gander completely opens up their homes and their lives to all of these people. So it's about like them providing food, housing, showers, friendship. The book was it's such a great reminder that like, there's so much we can accomplish with a little bit of kindness and goodwill. And it's also a reminder that while we all know, like, we don't even have to say the year, we just say 9/11 and everybody knows what you're referring to. But there was also a whole nother side to it about people coming together and being there for each other that I think sometimes we forget about. And this book was such a beautiful reminder of that. And it just immediately made me put Gander, Newfoundland on my wish list. Like someday I would like to go up there and see.
Fun fact, I think I might have read that.
Did you?
I think I might have.
I know one of our old coworkers had read it.
Oh, I definitely might have. I have to go back and look at my list.
Okay.
If not, then I need to, because what am I doing? My goodness.
Yeah. I loved it.
All right. Well, mine are kind of weird because most of mine actually are series. So, but coming from someone that actually didn't want to ever visit anywhere in the United States, really, like I had nowhere on my bucket list for the most part. But then I read these books, and actually most of the books that I've read in the past couple of months. But the first one's actually Vermont.
Oh, Vermont's so pretty.
Yeah. And so I didn't even look up because the town that it takes place in, it's kind of all over the first one.
Okay.
But it's just basically, the first book is called Fall in Love by Elise Kennedy, and the second one is called Falling in Vermont by Elise Kennedy. And they're actually very short. I think they're less than 200 pages. So just kind of like a short story. But where the main town that they go to, I don't think is actually real. And most of my books in this list are, but I still want to, or not real, but I still want to visit them. So the first one, Fall in Love, is Iris gets the chance to write an article on a travel site about the most romantic Vermont inns. Okay, 1, romance. 2, inns. Come on. So her and Sam, who ends up being the photographer, they will travel together and visit the inns. I loved it. Everything in Vermont in the fall time just sounds amazing. And because, get it, fall in love. So fall. And then falling in Vermont. She's falling instead of summering. She's falling. And the second is actually Sophia, who is Iris's sister. She books a 6-week stay at a Vermont pumpkin patch to finish her cookbook. And she ends up helping the Blake with the pumpkin patch while finishing her recipes. And of course, what do you think they do? Of
course.
Yeah, they have to. So I actually put my review for both of these. They both got 4 stars. So cute, perfect fall books. The spice scenes are easy to skip if you want to, and all the fall vibes were in here, and I wouldn't mind a cute guy bringing me a cute fall drink. Just saying. Preferably pumpkin spice. Thank you.
It's funny because in my head I'm just thinking to myself, if Sarah was a flavor, she would just be a pumpkin spice, like a cold brew.
Yeah, my outfit yesterday, literally I had 4 people say, "You look like walking pumpkin spice." Thank you. That is the best compliment anyone could ever give me. So with that, what's your next one?
So I'm going to do one more that was also in Canada. I may have mentioned this book back in like season 1, but it's called Free Days with George, Learning Life's Little Lessons from One Very Big Dog by Colin Campbell. In this book it starts in Nova Scotia, and then it ends on a beach in California. So you really get like the whole Atlantic Pacific, you're just going everywhere. I'm pretty sure I talked about it once, but either way, I gave this a solid 5 stars. I love this book, and I don't know what it is for me, but like a cold island, or, well, I guess this is a peninsula in Canada. It appeals to me. I'm a northerner. I can't help it. It's comforting. Mm-hmm. But the memories of his grandpa and the trips like to Nova Scotia that begin the book is what really just that whole area, that vibe, the grandparent with the child. And it's just like, that's a place I want to be. And then the second half of the book, when he ends up in California with his giant surfing dog, I'm just like, I would love to sit on a beach in California, and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wow, look at that dog on the surfboard.
Yeah.
I would love to be a person who has that moment and gets to take a picture and meet the dog. And, there's so much to this book that I'm not even mentioning. I mean, George is the dog's name. He helps the author through some really hard times, through a lot of life changes and all of those things. And it's just a reminder of, it has its sad moments, but at its core, like, this book is filled with love and hope and possibility. And of course, travel. I love that book.
You do.
I know you have your dog thing. I respect that.
Oh, yeah.
But I love this book so much. I asked our director to order it for the library because nobody in the county had it. So then we got it, and I have like handed it to people, and they have come back and told me how much they loved it. So if you are a nonfiction person, if you are a dog person, I love, love, love this book.
Yeah. Oh, she does. I love hearing you talk about it.
You're like, I just like seeing George on the cover. I cannot read it.
I can't. It's just a thing. It's my thing that I can't.
It's okay.
But I love that you love it. And that you love it so much that it's held on, that you've held on to it for the,
it is. It's definitely one that I still think about just randomly.
Yeah. We're going to take a turn and we're going to go visit Wyoming. What?
Okay. Never been there.
Okay. So here's the thing. So if you loved, and I think we mentioned it on one of the last few podcast episodes, the new movie Twisters, y'all, it's my favorite movie right now. I absolutely love it. So this series was recommended that if you love that movie, to read these. And I did, and of course, what did I do? I fell in love. Come on. So the first one is Done and Dusted by Lyla Sage, and the second one is Swift and Saddled, also by Lyla Gage. So another twofer. There will be 2 more books at least in the series, but they're not out yet. But basically, it's focuses on siblings of a family on a ranch. My goodness. So we got cowboys, y'all. If you love cowboys, not that Cowboys the football team, but like cowboys like yeehaw. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So the first one is Emmy, who is the sister, and she comes back home to the small town. She's already like basically had the career that she's wanted, and she's only like 25, 27. And comes back home, and her brother's best friend, they fall in love. So love that. And I have to read you my review because I laughed when I read it. My review is 5 stars. Oh my goodness. This book. Heads up, lots of spice. This book had me stupid smiling, giggling, and kicking my feet. I love the characters and the depth that they had because, listen, we love when characters have depth. I will read every book in this series, and then at the end it says, "Hey God, it's me, ... I would like a cowboy if it's not too much trouble." And then Swift and Saddled focuses on one of the brothers, and he is just wanting to start up almost like a bed and breakfast on the ranch with the original home that was on the land. And so this girl comes in, and she is helping him design it and stuff like that. And my review for that one is also 5 stars. I want to be a member of this family. These books are so good. A few different spicy scenes, easy to skip if needed. I need more cowboy romances ASAP. So Wyoming.
That's so cute.
Wyoming strictly for cowboys. Anyways, all right.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love how serious yours are, and mine are so not serious.
It's great. Yeah, but we have to have a little bit of everything.
I know.
We have to have everything.
It's so fun.
Everything for every reader.
Yes.
Okay, so one of the places I've always kind of had on my wish list was Greece. I don't really have a reason why. It's probably because I watched the movie Mamma Mia and like watching them dancing down the roads and the hills. I don't know.
We can recreate it if you would like to.
That might be really nice. So last year, my one book club, like we were reading around the world. And one of the places we went was in the Mediterranean, and it was Cyprus. And the book is called The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I apologize. And it just really reinforced my wish to go to Greece, or at least somewhere in the Mediterranean. I've never, ever been over that way, but it just looks so beautiful. I will say, quick disclaimer, this book, half of it is narrated by a fig tree, which I know sounds really weird, but it was super effective. So there were several people in my book club who read this, and we were all just surprised by how much we liked it. We were very like, the first time the tree started talking, oh my gosh, what is happening? And then all of a sudden we got like so sucked into this book. But it's this whole idea that this tree bears witness to like forbidden love, and it stands strong through a war, and it's there during happy times and sad goodbyes. And it was just not at all what I anticipated. And I absolutely loved it. But it also gave a really nice vision too of like Cyprus and the Mediterranean lifestyle and all of that. So
Fun.
yeah, so there you go. One of my wish list, Greece.
Greece is also on my bucket list.
Or maybe Cyprus. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
be mad about either. They're both right there on the water.
All right. So next up for me is another kind of two-parter. And this one is actually New England. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
yeah.
But okay, but here's why. You're gonna hear the book titles and be like, oh. The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore and the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. So
do you think Laurie Gilmore is their real name, or are they like a Gilmore Girls lover and they wanted to write the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and then therefore they had to come up with a name?
So I don't know, because funny that you brought that up. People were like, if you love Gilmore Girls, you will love this book series.
Yeah.
And they are correct. There's still 2 more coming out. One is out, and I think we're still waiting on the last one. But it's a cute little small town. And when Jeannie's aunt gives her the beloved Pumpkin Spice Cafe in the small town of Dream Harbor, Jeannie jumps at the chance for a fresh start away from her very dull desk job. And then you have Logan, who's a local farmer who avoids Dream Harbor's gossip at all costs. And of course they meet up and he helps her with a couple of things. And what do you think they do? They fall in love. But my review was 4 stars. It was a cute read. I love the characters and town. Definitely Gilmore Girls vibes. So big fan of that. There was spice mostly at the end. So you just kind of fast forward through all that if you need to. And it just didn't seem necessary, but that's my opinion. But I did overall enjoy the book, and we'll be reading the next one. And I did read the next one. And I actually like that one more. And this is why. When a secret message turns up hidden in a book in the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, Hazel can't understand it. As more secret codes appear between the pages, she's decided to follow the trail of clues. She just needs someone to help her out. Insert Noah, who comes and helps her out. We love that. And they have a ton of fun. But of course, she works at a bookstore. And I was like, surrounded by books. Come on. Who doesn't love that? My review was 4 stars. I loved it. And I want to visit this small town. But unfortunately, I don't actually think Dream Harbor is a real town. I did Google it. And I said, So we just have to find one that's similar to Dream Harbor.
I was going to say, I bet it's based off of a real town.
Yeah. I just got to figure out what it is.
We can find one for you. I don't doubt us.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is actually more of an author as opposed to a specific book, but her name is Clare Pooley. I think I've mentioned one of her books on here before, but she has 3 so far. I have enjoyed all of them. And the funny thing is they all take place in like London, England. And I have nothing against London. It just was never on my list, you know? It just kind of was like, okay, yeah, London. But there's something about the way she writes her books where she takes all of these strangers and then they're in this like situation and they kind of meet each other and help each other. And you just kind of think to yourself like, well, maybe I want to go ride on a train in London and like meet these strangers and see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
But that tends to be the setting for her book. It's kind of like people watching and paths crossing and unlikely friendships, and all of it happens in England. And I just love it. So the first book I ever read by her was called Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting, which is where I got the train reference from. So that's kind of the premise of the book, is that they're same people riding the train every day. And they all have these assumptions about each other because they never talk to each other.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden some things start happening where they do have to start talking to each other. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, they're not at all what I expected. Or, oh, wow, I might be able to help them. And so then the whole story just kind of keeps going. And there's another one by her that she wrote where it was like a notebook, and all these different strangers keep finding the notebook and like reading what somebody else wrote in it, and like they add to it, but then they also want to help the other person. And so it just kind of becomes this whole thing. So
that one sounds really interesting.
I feel like if I ever got to go to England, I'd probably just be like, take me to the Great British Break Off tent. But I'm sure there'd be other stuff I could find there that would be really fun.
Oh, fun. I'm really interested in that one.
I think it's just because everybody's always like, oh, England's so rainy. London's so rainy, that you just kind of like, oh, well, but then you read books like this and you're like, no, people actually live there. Yeah. And like things happen there, and there's more to see than just this, you know, one thing that always ends up in the textbook or on the TV. Like there's a whole world and the cute little homes and, you know.
I might need to put that on my want to read list. All right, so I only have one more, but my next one is to Ireland, which is Love at First Book by Jenn McKinlay. I think I'm saying her name right. This was actually a recommendation from one of our patrons that listens to the podcast. So, hey, girly pop. Um, and it is, guess what? About a librarian who moves to a quaint Irish village where her favorite novelist lives. So the last thing she expects is to fall for the author's son until their story becomes one for the books. So it is contemporary romance, but Emily is a librarian from Martha's Vineyard, moves to Ireland to work at the bookstore and to help the author finish a book. I fell in love with every character in the book. I fell in love with the town. I was emotionally just invested in everything. I loved it. Like, and it's not just contemporary romance. This is actually one of the contemporary romances that has more feelings in it. And I think I finished this one on my lunch break. And it was one of the books that like made me sob. And then I had to go clock in and be like, okay, be right back, guys. And go like wipe my tears away. But I just, she went sightseeing in Ireland. And I was like, oh my goodness, this sounds beautiful. I want to go to Ireland. So it's on my bucket list.
I have a few friends who just got back from Ireland and they said it was just like a life-changing trip.
Oh, yeah. I want to go.
Yep.
All right, what you got?
Okay, so my last one, and I do have to just preface this by saying I am completely biased because I love this man so much. It is called Taste, My Life Through Food by Stanley Tucci.
I love him.
I know.
Love him.
He is a gift. So this book, he is part of an Italian-American family, and his family just really shines throughout this book. And so even though a lot of it does take place in the U.S., it has this very strong Italian vibe to it. And there are moments where he's in Italy. There's moments where he's traveling to work on the movie Julie and Julia with Meryl Streep. And so there's like some little tidbits and stories about sitting down for dinner at a restaurant with her somewhere, in Europe. And so there's, definitely travel throughout it. But it was just, there's something about the Italian vibes that he was giving off that actually made me think to myself, like, maybe I do want to go to Italy. Like, Italy was never on my list. But I do have to admit, like, I think rather than being in the busy touristy areas of Italy, I think I would be the person that would be like, I want to run through the lavender fields, like off the beaten path, right? Like I want to go to a winery, not to drink the wine, but to like squish the grapes with my feet, like Lucille Ball. Like I would want to do that type of trip to Italy.
Yeah. No, I could totally see you doing that.
Yeah. So I just, and I will say, if you love Stanley Tucci, for sure, read this book. If you love food, I mean, I know I'm a vegan. We've said it on here before. We've joked about it. His stuff is definitely not, but I grew up in an Italian family. So like all of these stories he's sharing and the food he's talking about and the care that his family puts into like cooking for each other and sitting down and eating together. Like it was so strong. Like, yeah, that was my childhood too. Like I understand that and I feel that. And like, you can feel the love that, as you're reading it. And then I'm just like, man, if he ever cooked a food for me, like a meal for me, I'd be like, yep, I'll be there. 100%. And there are some name drops in here. I will just say, if you're a Ryan Reynolds fan, he does pop up in the book. But I won't, no spoilers.
That's funny. Well, if you would like to or if any books have made you want to travel, we would love to hear what they are. You can always email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. We definitely want to hear because we want to read it and we want to see if we want to travel there. So, Bethany, I have one more question for you.
What could that be?
Before we skedaddle on out of here, what are you currently reading?
Sarah, I am reading a very large book right now. It is 643 pages. I am about 60 pages in, I think, roughly. It's called The Bee Sting by Paul Murray.
Okay.
I heard about it on another podcast and I was instantly intrigued. And it's not necessarily because of the premise of the book. It was more listening to these two women talk to each other about how they felt when they were reading the book.
Oh.
Like, that's what was getting me. And I think I'm starting to understand maybe why they were like having those feelings and those emotions as they were talking about it, because the following these two friends. There's Cass and Elaine. And I mean, like I said, I'm only 60 pages in, but I feel very protective of them already. And like, they're young girls. They're like kind of closing out on their high school days. And so they're still figuring out like who they are. And I'm already like, oh, don't do anything stupid. Like I'm already having those feelings. But I'm very curious about what happens. And I'm trying not to rush it. It's so large that I've decided this is going to be my read at home book.
Okay.
And then on my Kindle at work, that's the book that I have like my next book club book on. And so I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to really just enjoy this one. Cause I'm like, 643 pages. I don't want to miss something.
Right.
And so I don't want to read it while I'm distracted.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So it's probably going to take me a little longer than my normal books.
Okay.
And it is, as we said, a honker or a chunker. I don't know what you might want to call it, but
a big old book.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, okay. Fun.
What are you reading?
I'm reading a book set in Vermont. So I'm reading a book by Elise Kennedy, who really likes Vermont, because like all of her stuff that I read is in Vermont. And this one's called Pumpkin Spice and Pour Overs.
Sarah.
Bethany is shaking her head at me. But Becca is determined to get her dream job managing a bookstore in Benning Falls, Vermont. So that's where those other two books mostly take place, is Benning Falls. I don't know if that's real. Anyways, the only thing standing in her way, a bumpy train, no place to stay, and a bookish, kind, broad-shouldered stranger who is determined to get the job first.
You got to watch out for those broad-shouldered strangers.
No. So of course it's a fall book because we're in fall. I'm very much a themed reader. I think we've talked about that before, but I'm very much a season reader. That's the word I'm looking for.
Well, see, and you're enjoying your fall contemporary romance, whereas I just went through my like, oh my gosh, Halloween's around the corner, and I read like a bunch of horror and which I don't normally read. Yeah. So I'm very much enjoying it, and it's books. So contemporary romances really get me when it's a bookstore, a library, anything like that. I already love them, but then you add books into it, and I'm like, super duper love it. Anyway, so that's what I'm reading right now. So, it is so good to be back.
It is.
I miss this.
I feel almost scatterbrained, but like wasn't scatterbrained. But I'm just like, I'm feeling a little silly, guys. I think you could tell.
This is good.
It is.
Thank you so much.
Well, we'll see you. We won't see you. We'll talk to you guys next month. And with that,
happy reading, Mulberry. Thank you.